we'll kick things off. I'm Jessica Kott. I am a sales agronomist here at Continuum, and this is today's CI Chit Chat. Mitch is not here with us today, but I do have a co-host of Steven. Steven, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Steve Dearden. I am a Regen success agronomist here at Continuum Ag, and then I also fill in a little bit on the sales side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, our CI Chit Chats for you guys to place for you guys to ask questions to us. Today, we're going to ask some frequently asked questions because you may have some of the same ones, so we can get your questions answered. So, yeah, if you have questions at any point, feel free to drop them in the chat. So, we'll kick it off, get started with some questions. Or, Stephen, do you want to kind of just touch on a high level overview of CI certification, and all that?
Yeah, so basically, if you don't already know your carbon intensity score, now is the time to go onto topsoil and get it. That would be the first step, is to figure out what your score is. And then from there, definitely start getting ready to get CI certified, get your data in. We're getting closer and closer to harvest of this year. And for CI certification for 2024, we need to grab data all the way back from fall of 2023. So the sooner that we can get all that data in and get the process started, the better it will be for you as farmers.
Mm-hmm. Steven's kind of in a unique situation where he works on both the ops side and the sales side. So not only is he maybe one that is calling you up, but also he's the one helping you collect all the data. So we'll touch on some of the data questions as well as some common questions that people have. So the first one is, can all farmers benefit from low carbon intensity crops?
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you're a big operation or a small operation. Knowing your score absolutely allows you and empowers you to be able to set your prices with the ethanol plants more so than just being told what their bid is. By actually having a CI score, you can kind of negotiate your basis a little bit, because you know your CI score, when a lot of other farmers don't, and they are essentially going to just have the standard county average of 29.1. So it gives you a little bit more negotiating power when you do actually know your score and have your acres certified through Continuum Ag.
Yeah, absolutely. We're involved in getting a lot of farmers their score. A lot of them are really worried and they think that their score is gonna be higher than the 29.1 average. And that's not the case. As of last week, the Billion Bushel Challenge update, there was 301 million bushels scored with an average score of 11.1. So, of all those bushels and all those acres, we are 20 points, more than 20 points lower than the average. So, yeah, don't be worried that your CI score is going to be too high and you're going to be over that 29.1, because chances are you won't be.
Yeah, a lot of guys that I talk to, they think that they're going to have a bad score per se, or it's going to be up there in the high 20s. And when we actually run through topsoil, it's significantly better than they think that they're at. And they don't even have to change any practices. It's just putting in exactly what they're doing now and then seeing what that score is. And a lot of farmers and a lot of guys that I talk to are very surprised when we actually do run through topsoil and get their score, to see that it is actually significantly better than they thought.
Yeah, you touched on topsoil, Stephen. What is topsoil for those who may not know?
So Topsoil is our front-facing website that basically you can go in there. It has the Argonne GREET model incorporated into it. So basically, farmers can go in there, fill out their farm profile, and based on what they fill out and how they answer the questions, that will give them their CI score for their operation. Now, a lot of times I get questions from guys that say, well, I've got different fields that have different practices on it. That's fine. What you can do is just go through, fill out your general practices, fill out what you would do on an average year, average yield, just average practices in general, And then you can always go back and change it later and re-update it to see what your CI score would be for different practices. So say some guys have some fields that are conventional tillage and hydrous, no cover crops, and then say they have 2 or 3 fields that they cover crop on and they are able to have manure on. You can see both of those differences in scores.
Yeah, you touched on cover crops. Do they have a huge impact on CI scores, in your opinion?
Yes, cover crops significantly reduce the CI score of the operation. The big four that really factor into it would be cover crops, manure, no-till, and then yield. Um, the higher yield you have, the more that you're spreading out that carbon intensity score over more bushels. And then obviously cover crops, no-till, and then using manure instead of synthetic fertilizers really helps your score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So do you think in your opinion that like even if you use conventional practices, it's still worthwhile to get your CI score?
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of guys that I talk to think, oh, I don't cover crop and I don't use manure and I do 2-pass tillage and then hydrous and side dress and insecticide and fungicide. You can still take advantage of getting your score, seeing what your score is. And like I said earlier, you're probably going to be pretty surprised when you actually run through topsoil and see what your score is.
Yeah. So a common question we get being on the sales team is what determines, and you will be able to really touch on this with your ops side, what determines if a field is categorized as conventional till, reduced till, or no till?
So conventional till would essentially be 2-pass tillage. Think of your typical cropping system where you're doing deep tillage in the fall and field cultivating in the spring. Reduced tillage would be, think of if you're leaving more than roughly 70% of the residue there. So if you're doing say you're just disking or you're doing a light strip till pass, something like that. And then if you're leaving more than 70% residue, it might be considered no-till. So there's still that's still kind of subject to change based off of that. They haven't officially come out with the rules yet, but pretty much figured 2-pass tillage and deep tillage is going to be your conventional. Reduced tillage is going to be like your strip till, and then no-till obviously is no tillage at all.
Yeah, definitely. But we also recommend like removing fertilizer does have a huge effect on a CI score. If you have access to manure, that's also a thing that reduces the CI score. Basically, think of it all as one big fraction. The less inputs with the higher the yield, the better the score. Yeah. Let's see what other questions we have. What's the proximity of ethanol plants to be eligible for the CI tax credits?
So every single ethanol plant is eligible to participate in the 45Z tax credit. Um, Essentially, ethanol plants need to get under a 50 CI score in order to be eligible for this tax credit. Most ethanol plants are around that 55 score right now. And then that county average that I talked about earlier being 29.1, that is a big factor in that score. So, even if an ethanol plant is, say, hooking into a pipeline, they can still take advantage of the 45Z tax credit. They can still benefit from having low CI grain from you as the farmer delivering to them.
Mhm. And if you want to engage in a conversation with your ethanol plant, you're more than welcome to. And we'd be more than happy to step in the conversation and talk to them because some of the low-level ethanol plants may not be super aware of the development on the upper end side of things. They may be like discouraged and think that it's not possible and not feasible. But Mitch really works to educate the ethanol plants to bring them aware of the possibilities and how they can easily achieve to be under 50 CI score. So yeah, if you're talking to your talking to your ethanol plants and they're really interested in learning more, you can always shoot us a message saying this ethanol plant's really interested. And we can go from there.
Absolutely.
Steve, where do you think carbon intensity is going as a whole?
I don't think it's going away. I think that this is just kind of the start of it. And it definitely is beneficial to us farmers. We can take advantage of it by um, profiting in more ways than just your commodity um, off of your acres. So if you can make more money on through different ways aside from just selling your crop. You know, you can take advantage of the 45Z tax credit. You can take advantage of carbon intensity. I'm sure down the road there's going to be other options where, you know, there's low CI pork and beef and stuff like that. That really hasn't been built out at this point, but I think it's definitely being talked about. It just opens up another market for farmers to take advantage of.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So at Continuum, like our two big products are the CI score and the CI certification. The CI score is usually $500. But in the chat, you can get a code. The code is BBC95 to get that CI score for $25. That's a great way to kind of see where you are. And then the certification process is a little more in depth. I'll let Stephen hit on that part.
So for the certification process, essentially right now it's $7 an acre to get CI certified. And basically what that means is we need to collect all your data, like I said earlier, all the way from fall of 2023, so after harvest of 2023, all the way until harvest of this year. When we are collecting data, we basically need documentation of everything that happens on that field, on that acre during that time frame. So in the fall, you know, we need anhydrous application. We need any tillage that you do, any P and K that gets put on in the fall, any manure. Same thing in the spring. So spring of 2024, we'll need any tillage. For guys that put on spring anhydrous, we need that. Any pre-merge has to go on. We need documentation for that. And then obviously planting all the way through insecticide, fungicide, herbicide, side dress, and then obviously yield data at the end. So we couple and collect all of that data for the entire growing season, and that is what determines your CI score for the 2024 crop. Now, any cover crop that goes on after harvest goes into the following year's crop. So if you go ahead and harvest your corn here later this fall, and then you decide to put cover crop on, that cover crop is going to pertain to the 2025 crop, not the 2024 crop.
Yeah, definitely. Do you guys have a preferred method of like how you want all that data?
Shape files would be the absolutely number one method for the data. A lot of guys, what they do is they will just share their JD ops or their climate accounts with us, and then we can go in there and grab the data that we need. That's probably the easiest. We can also take invoices and receipts and stuff like that if guys don't have JD ops and climate. Um, we can accept pictures of fields. So say like for tillage, right? You might not necessarily have an invoice for that. So if we can have verification that yes, you strip tilled this field, if we have verification of that, we can accept that also. But the number one thing would be shape files, as applied maps, stuff like that, straight from your monitors.
Yeah, absolutely. And we recommend getting started as soon as possible. We need data from your 2023 cover crop if you planted one or 2023 fall applied fertilizer. Getting started now kind of puts you ahead of the game so you don't have to worry about finding everything when you're busy harvesting or when you're trying to get your combine ready.
Absolutely. The sooner that we can start collecting this data and get this data in, the better it will be for both you as the farmer and for us getting the data in. That way we're not waiting until the last minute say somebody decides to sign up September 15th, then, we got to go all the way back to, like I said, fall of 2023. And it's probably going to be hard to track down some of that data that we need. Plus, we're getting close to harvest, and, that's a busy time of year and all that stuff. So the earlier we can get started, we can slowly start getting that data in. We've got a little bit more time to get that data in, the better it will be for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in your opinion, being working in Continuum, what sets Continuum Ag apart in the marketplace?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that you are still in control of your data. Um, a lot of these other companies, you're kind of selling data, and you're not really in control of your data. But with us going through Continuum Ag, you are still 100% in control of your data throughout this entire process. Also, Continuum Ag is a farmer-owned company, so we stand for farmers. And like I said, we have exclusive access to the carbon intensity score and CI certification, as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of your customers, people that you work with, for your Regen Roadmap accounts, saying about CI?
They're definitely interested in it, especially because a lot of the customers on the Regen Roadmap side are already doing soil health, or focusing on soil health. So they're reducing synthetic inputs, they're applying manure, they're going more no-till, they're using cover crops. So those guys really have, really good CI scores, and they're definitely taking advantage of both the Regen Roadmap as well as the CI certification. So part of the Regen Roadmap is we help farmers and we advise farmers on how to go down that soil health journey. So guys that don't really know how to incorporate a cover crop into their operation, or want to do more than just a cereal rye. We really help go through and, advise on that. And then, like I said, the guys that are focusing on soil health tend to have the better CI scores.
Yeah, absolutely. And Regen Roadmap is a great tool if you think your CI score is on the higher side of things and you want to try to lower it. Great tool to help you do that. Um, what are the customers saying about the potential opportunity that CI certification has for them?
A lot of guys are really excited about it. It's definitely a big opportunity. There's a lot of money, um, through this 45Z tax credit. And like I said earlier, it's just another market and another way for farmers to make money per acre. So again, like I said, it's not just the bid price that the elevator or the co-op or the feed mill gives out, right? There's more money that can be had there. You can make more money per acre. You can take advantage of practices they're already doing and get paid for practices, that you're already incorporating into your operation. You don't got to go change practices. Like I said, a lot of people that I talk to, their CI score is way better than they think. And when they actually see the dollar value, on topsoil after they fill out their farm profile, they are very surprised at what their CI score is and how much money they could potentially be making per acre.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Probably now is a great time to drop some questions down in the chat if you guys have any for us. Um, yeah, Stephen, do you have any questions for me or?
I guess touch on, because you deal with the dealers a lot, so
Mhm.
touch on, um, what somebody should do if they're interested in finding out about carbon intensity and they do have a dealer in their area.
Yeah, so if you do have somebody that's a dealer in your area, reach out to them. Um, if you are interested in becoming a dealer, you can feel free to email me at jessica@continuum.ag. Um, Basically, the dealership is kind of similar to what we do in-house, where we are communicating with the customers, getting them their CI score, helping them fill out their farm profile, and then you guys facilitate the whole data collection of the CI certification process. So it kind of, Stephen touched on with all the field maps, application maps, all that stuff, and facilitating that with your customers. So if you have any questions about that, yeah, feel free to reach out to me at jessica@continuum.ag. Brian asked a question in the chat. Is it going to be important to track fuel usage, or is that assigned for field passes?
So when you're filling out your farm profile, you get to the very bottom and there's a section that says energy usage. And there is a fuel usage box or category for that. So it's definitely important to track fuel usage, but it would be across the entire years from fall 2023 to harvest of 2024. So what I would say is track fuel usage for every time you go across that field, and then, figure out how much fuel per acre that you're using.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I go with the certification process. And once you become certified, we kind of help you with knowing, so you know what the data collection that you need from your side of things is. Um, yeah, we're kind of all out of questions. So, um, if you guys have any questions or would like to talk to a member of the sales team, you can go ahead and reach us at sales@continuum.ag. We think that this is a huge opportunity. And so if you're interested, yeah, feel free to reach out. Um, Other than that, thank you everybody for joining today.
Yeah. If you have any other questions, feel free to, like Jess said, email sales@continuum.ag, or if you want to get a hold of me directly, it is Steven@continuum.ag. And then for dealers, it would be Jess@continuum.ag.
Yes. So yeah, thank you everybody. Have a
All right.
great rest of your Tuesday.